Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Jed Morgan, and the Netflix Witcher series has released another clip for the upcoming season 3. And once again, it provides very, very little content from the Time of Contempt book, which this season is supposedly adapting. Lauren Hissrich's claim that this will be the most accurate season thus far has not been proved whatsoever in either the interviews given by the actors or by the clips and trailers, teasers released by the studio. I do not believe it's going to be the most accurate thus far. In fact, I believe the opposite is true, that it will diverge even further from the source material, and Lauren Hissrich will be proved to be a liar once again. But this new clip that was released by Netflix for The Witcher Season 3 is so much worse than the teasers. The first teaser was just a bunch of empty nothingness, a lot of just staring at things, didn't provide any story, didn't really contradict anything, it just sort of existed. And the second one was very much in the same line with that, but it was a lot more cliche, a lot more dumb, a lot of empty platitudes, just nonsense. And the biggest thing that I took away from that second trailer is the fact that they spent a lot of time, I believe, at the Thanid Ball, which is that masquerade ball that they show in the trailer. They show a lot of it in the trailer, and it's not really like that. Yes, it's a banquet, but it doesn't have a maze in it, and it doesn't have one of those armored armadillos. I'm sorry, I can't remember all the monster names off the top of my head that we mainly see in the Blood and Wine expansions of the Witcher 3 video game. That's what we got out of it. That's not what The Witcher is supposed to look like in Time of Contempt. It looks so very, very boring. And we got glimpses of what this clip would end up being in that trailer, but we have this full clip. And my God, there's so much wrong with it. There's so much weird in it. And I just can't quite wrap my head around about how horrific this trailer is on every single conceivable level. From dialogue, to choreography, to CGI, to set design, to costume design, to lore accuracy, to adaptation integrity, to character integrity. It's just all nonsense. So I'm going to try to get through this 3-minute clip as quickly as I can without blowing a gasket, because it is so very, very poorly made, but I want to get through it for you guys as quickly as I can. Now, early on, this clip was ratioed. It no longer is, but it's creeping its way back towards being ratioed. It looks like a lot were deleted, but I didn't take screenshots in time, so I cannot prove the fact that I believe a lot of dislikes were deleted. So we'll have to accept what we see before us as truth, which I don't believe. I just have to accept it because all the other trailers have been ratioed. Everyone in the comments is roasting it. Even in this video, it's full of roasting. I won't spend any time on that because this video would get way too long if I read all the comments. So I just want to go through this trailer, not frame by frame, but a little bit of a breakdown just to show how poorly made this trailer is. So it starts off with Ciri, whatever, and Rience is coming for her. Now, this is a bit of a problem because in Time of Contempt, Rience is barely in it, because after Yennefer burned his face, as you can see in that image right there, he kind of took a step back. He kind of went into hiding. He got scared by Geralt as well in Blood of Elves. He just kind of takes a step back, lets his secret boss take a lot of the heavy lifting, lets Tawny Owl get a little bit more involved. He just takes a step back and is well more in hiding during the events of Time and Contempt. And we do see him interact with Ciri a little bit, about 190 pages into the book, but he doesn't really come back up into prominence until the very end during the coup at Thanid, with this is very, very much not. On top of them bringing Rience into forefront of the story, which they shouldn't have done, they recast the character because apparently the actor from season 2 did not want to continue, so they had to get a new Rience, and this new Rience is weird, way more all over the place, and just not very intimidating whatsoever. This is not a good Rience, and Rience should not even be involved. For a little bit of a proof, Rience was mentioned 30 times in Time of Contempt. I have the PDF from Internet Archive for Time of Contempt right here, and he is mentioned 30 times, and he shows up 2, maybe 3 times in the entirety of the story in physical form, and none of it looks anything like this scene. So Rience showing up, not lore accurate, not source material accurate. So Lauren Hissrich, what's up? Now let's keep going before I keep going down a rabbit hole. I have no idea where this location is. Yes, there are a lot of ruins in the land of the Witcher, in the continent, because back when the elves were the dominant species upon the continent, they built a ton of great architecture. And even before them, before the Age of Migration, the dwarves and the gnomes also built great cities, great empires everywhere across the land. But once the humans came after the convergence of the spheres and the First Landing, and they started to take over dominance of the continent, a lot of these places fell into ruin as the elves had to go into hiding. The elves became less prominent, and the humans had to move into their structure. So there's just a lot of ruins around the continent, and that makes sense. But where is this? What is happening? Why are they here? None of this is book accurate. None of this happens in Time of Contempt. And now we're getting into some weird, just full-on Mary Sue stuff here, because yes, Ciri has been trained to be a Witcher in between the events of Sword of Destiny and Blood of Elves, but remember, in the books, she is about 12, maybe 13 during that training. She might be 14 at this point in time of Contempt. That's very, very young. She cannot single-handedly take on 5 men. After the training in between those 2 books, I would confidently say she could take on 1, maybe 2 of just random thugs like this on her own, no problem. I would believe 1 or 2. But 5 single-handedly? No, not a chance in hell. Even in a future book in Tower of the Swallows, when she takes on Rience once again and a bunch of other people sent by Tawny Owl on a frozen lake, she has to use trickery. She has to use the fog. She has to use ice skating to quickly get around them. She has to use a lot of environmental fighting to take on this many dudes at once, and she decimates them. And then at another point in the story, when she's become the personal lapdog of the bounty hunter Bonnard, she is able to tank people in a gladiatorial pit. But that is several years after this, and it's quite a long time before she becomes the juggernaut, the amazing fighter that we know and love her to be. Because I love Ciri's arc. She's my favorite character in the Witcher series, but it's a gradual arc. Netflix doesn't know how to do anything gradually. So it's like, oh, she's touched a sword before? Now she's like the bestest fighter ever, and she can take 5 men at once. No problem. So let's watch this disaster. She's not even using her sword yet. She is fist fighting at this point 3 men and winning. She's fist fighting them. Do we not get the size differential? Do we not get how old she is? Using a sword would at least be a little bit more understandable if she were using good techniques, using weight differential, using deflecting more than tanking. The audience could buy into that at least a little bit. But she is fist fighting them, not using any sort of technique. She's just brute forcing them. Ciri is too young to be able to do this. She is not capable of this. She has not gotten enough training for this. But now she finally decides to pull out her sword, thankfully. Oh.
Last time I beat you with my wits. This time you mean my magic.
That is one of the cheesiest lines of dialogue and one of the poorest deliveries we've seen from Yennefer in this series thus far. And I hate what she's wearing. It is just a modern day blouse. The costume designers do not give a crap about this series because she's literally wearing something they could have gone down the street to JCPenney's to buy for her. It's completely ridiculous. And then they're bringing up another source material break that they did in season 2, because in season 2, they randomly decided to take away her magic for the duration of the story, even though she should be spending most of that book training Ciri on how to use magic, and they don't have Ciri and Yennefer interacting all that much in Blood of Elves to the end when Yennefer tries to kill her, which is all ridiculous stuff. But when Yennefer confronts Rience in season 2, she uses her wits. Oh my god, isn't that so smart? Instead of this epic magical battle where she burns Rience's face, she acts drunk, saunters over to him, and then spits alcohol in his face as he's got some fire lit on his finger. That's how she beats him, and that's what she's talking about right now. So they're bringing up lore breaks in the season that is supposed to have the least lore breaks of all the seasons thus far. So we have a lore break, a bad costume, a bad delivery, and bad dialogue all in one few second period right here. But let's keep going. That is some of the cheesiest slow motion I've ever seen. What is Yennefer doing right there? Doing a water dance. The actress did talk about that in a behind the scenes interview. I believe at one point that she took inspiration from Bollywood dancing. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but that is not coming across very well. And then you see Geralt in the background just casually sauntering up. It's ridiculous.
I like my odds.
I like our odds better!
So we had a bunch of poor choreography right there that doesn't look good whatsoever, and then randomly, Deus Ex Machina, the dwarves show up. This is like an orgy of all the characters that have ever been known. This is supposed to be this big climactic fight, it looks like, and it looks so bad, so cheesy, and the dwarves are like, I like our odds better, and they come in out of the blue. What is happening? Really cliche fight dialogue right there. Really cliche dialogue right there. What is happening? Portals changed all of a sudden? What are they doing? happening? They just teleport away. Geralt, you go fight Ryans through the portal. Oh, this is awesome. We've got our dwarf friends saving them. What is happening? You do realize that Ryans knows other spells besides throwing fire. Yeah, he has a preference for fire a little bit, but he uses other spells. He is a student of Vilgefortz. He knows how to use magic. Not just fire, 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 fire. He knows other spells.
Your mage is out of her depth.
Portals work. What is happening? They don't care about the magic of the universe. They don't care about the continuity of the universe. They don't care about their own continuity. The acting is terrible. The choreography is terrible. There's nothing in this clip that I can possibly latch onto and call good. I don't think Geralt can do that. I don't think Geralt can do that. And they just leave Ryans. They've been hunting Ryans.
The elves came for Ciri.
At least in the books, they've been hunting Ryans for a while now, and they're after him. Why didn't Geralt at least drag him back through the portals? Like, oh, you're handicapped, you're good, we're good right now. No, that's supposedly, at least if they're trying to keep at least a little bit of the book accuracy going on, they're after him. So, bring him back with you, instead of leaving him wherever they are. We don't know where that location is, but it could be some random cellar somewhere. And now the Scoia'tael have showed up hunting Ciri. The Scoia'tael have shown up hunting Ciri. That's not supposed to happen. Yes, the Scoia'tael are involved in the coup of Thanon at the end of the book. Yes, absolutely. And yes, they are being hired by people to get Ciri. But there's just so much going on right now that doesn't make sense. We got the dwarves, we got the Scoia'tael, we got Ryans, we got Nilfgaardians, we've got the main characters. There's just so much going on here that doesn't make any sense. This doesn't work within the continuity of the books or just plain logic. This is not epic climatic. And yes, those are Scoia'tael. That's what we have for the Scoia'tael. That is terrible, terrible armor that I'm very, very disappointed in. What is this? What is this choreography? I have to highlight that again. The choreography is terrible and the sign usage is really bad. He's about to use art here and it barely does anything. Art is supposed to do something. Does nothing. I'd love to see Shad break down that fight because it is terrible from a choreography standpoint, it's terrible from a lore accuracy standpoint. The dialogue acting is horrible. The set design is cheap. It looks like plastic. The costume design is something you could go down the street and buy at JCPenney's or Macy's. This Witcher franchise is dying on so many conceivable levels. I don't know how anyone is still invested in this, regardless of Henry Cavill leaving the role. A lot of people should be abandoning the series with or without the leaving of Henry Cavill. It is a disaster on so many levels, and if you take into account the math that I used on a previous video, they might be nearing $1 billion spent on this franchise. There is no way that they're actually spending on that money for anything besides money laundering, because we don't see any of that money in the clip right there, and they're not getting return on investment. It is getting ridiculous at this point. Netflix season 3 comes out in a couple weeks now, and I will be breaking it down and eviscerating it in its entirety because it deserves it. The Witcher season 3 will be a disaster. I firmly believe that. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Anon.